So let us consider this question. Where can I receive Holy Communion? Let us remember, in Holy Communion, we receive not only the body and blood, soul and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ. We are making a profession of our faith. When we kneel down to receive Holy Communion, we're professing the faith of the church in which we receive Holy Communion. Now, most of us, I'm sure all of us, want to profess our faith in the one holy Catholic, Apostolic, and Roman Church. Holding up the Baltimore Catechism, there's also Catechism of the Council of Trent. Our faith is set out in these catechisms. Okay? We begin by teaching our children now this one. We work up to this one. Priests would be teaching us from the Catechism of the Council of Trent. In fact, as educated lady, we should be studying it. We want to profess this faith. So, we want to go to communion in a church that professes the same faith we do. And so let us take an example. Let us say there is a church where we have the Tridentine Mass celebrated by a certainly valid priest. But the church rejects the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and there are sects out there that do that. We cannot go there to receive Holy Communion because we believe they're heretics. Now, we're not judging the people themselves, but the professed belief of their church, which is contrary to Catholic teaching, which is why we can't have communion with them. Okay? We cannot receive Holy Communion in their church because it does not accept each and every teaching of the divine and Catholic faith. Okay? Because this is a communication in sacred things. So yes, there are places we are forbidden to receive the sacraments, although they're certainly valid. We're not questioning the validity of their sacraments. That is a totally different question. Okay? So if we're getting down to discussing something, we need to stay exactly on the point. The Church has always forbidden us to receive the sacraments from the Eastern Orthodox because they are in schism from us. Basically, they hold the same faith, although I think most of them do reject the Immaculate Conception, the Assumption, and infallibility. Those are more recent. In any case, the main reason we were forbidden from day one because they are not in communion with the Pope. So we do not receive the sacraments from them, nor do we administer the sacraments to them as priests. Okay? Notice the word communion. When we receive Holy Communion, we profess to be in communion with the church where we receive Holy Communion. We've already discussed that we are professing that we accept the faith of that church. Okay? The professed faith of that church. So if they were to come out with a different catechism than this one, we'd say, I will take your catechism with me, and I will check it against the catechism of the Catholic Church. The catechism that has the Catholic faith in it. If it's not in complete union with that, I will not be back for Holy Communion. But I thank you for being clear on what your catechism is. And so let us look at another position. We're going to look here at three basic positions that people hold today. The first, a majority position, is that George Bergoglio is Pope Francis. There are three basic groups that accept this position. Those exercising the indult for the Latin Mass throughout the world. The Society of St. Peter, which, although in union with that same church, the people consider them slightly different because of personalities. Okay, and then the Society of St. Pius X. Now, the Society of St. Pius X is slightly on the Pope's position is slightly different, but the basic position of all three of these groups is that George Bergoglio is Pope Francis. Okay, we will call this position the Society of St. Pius X position for simplicity, although it is held by Society of St. Peter and the indult groups. The second position on the papacy is that the papacy is vacant. This position is best represented by a group called the CMRI. Okay, I forget what that means, but everyone identifies them as CM or I. There are others who also hold that same position. Priests and bishops, traditionalist priests and bishops. Some were ordained originally in the Society of St. Pius X, and some come from Bishop Peter Martin Yodin Took. Okay. The third position is the one that I hold, that the papacy was vacant, but the papacy has been ended by my election as Pope. Okay? This position is more commonly called conclavism, and it's a step beyond the position that the papacy is vacant, which is called sedevacantism. Okay. Now, we cannot receive Holy Communion from heretics. St. Hermenegildo refused to receive Holy Communion from the hands of a certainly valid Arian bishop because that man was a heretic, and he lost his life for that. He was martyred because he refused to receive Holy Communion from a heretic. Now, we look at the three positions. What each position has in common is they consider the other two positions as technically schismatic. Now again, we're not judging the people who hold these positions because we're in a time of confusion, similar to the Western Schism when we had first two, then finally three claimants to the papacy. Well, the one thing they would all have in common is my pope is pope and your pope is an anti-pope. Okay? Because they had to reason this way. My pope is pope, your pope is therefore your pope is an anti-pope. Well, today we look at these positions. Those who hold that Pope Francis is pope must consider me as a schismatic and anyone who follows me because I am not in union with Pope Francis. They may think I'm a real nice guy. That's not the question. The question is, how must they hold my position as compared to their position? Because we must be consistent with our belief. All right? And so what should the attitude be of someone who wants to assist at a Latin Tridentine Mass? Okay, if you believe that George Bergoglio is Pope Francis, then the only places you may go would be to the Indult, which is underneath him in the various dioceses, or to the Society of St. Peter, or to any other organization, which I understand there are several, that are in total communion with Pope Francis. In fact, you cannot even go to the Society of St. Pius X because they are not regularized. Okay? They are still technically in schism because they have not regularized with Pope Francis. Okay. You cannot go to a sedevacantist because you believe they're schismatics. You cannot go receive communion and profess that the papacy is vacant when you believe it is not vacant. All right? That would be inconsistent. That would be a sin of participating with people you believe are schismatics. Again, we're not judging each other. That's not the point here. But what I'm judging is, I'm saying, this is my position, this is why I hold my position. Okay? And therefore my actions have to be consistent with the position I hold. We go over to the sedevacantists like the CMRI. They can go to the CMRI and the other sedevacantist priests and bishops throughout the world. They can't go into the Indult, the Society of St. Peter, the Society of St. Pius X, or even come into my church to receive Holy Communion. Because what? They believe we're all schismatics. Then finally, there's the position that I hold. Those in union with me cannot go to the Indult, the Society of St. Peter, the Society of St. Pius X, the CMRI, or any of those other organizations. They could only go to a Mass that's celebrated in union with, una cum, to use the Latin, with me as Pope. One of the bishops that is identified as a sedevacantist, Bishop Sanborn, did an excellent article on this, on una cum. You can Google Sanborn una cum. A few minor points we disagree with on that article, but in general, he gets the point straight. And so, as a priest, I am not permitted to give the sacraments to someone who is not in total communion with the Catholic Church. Now, my belief is that I am Pope Michael, the head of the Catholic Church. Therefore, I cannot give the sacraments to someone who believes that Pope Francis is Pope, to someone who believes the papacy is vacant, to someone who might believe there's some other claimant out there. Why? Because they're not in total communion with me. I believe they are technically in schism. And the same is true. A priest, let's say, of the indult, cannot knowingly give Holy Communion to me. Why? Because he knows I'm not in communion with him. We may think each other we're great guys, like each other. May even both believe that we're extremely sincere in our belief and are pursuing it logically. The thing is, we will be sincere in our belief and refusing communion to each other. Because we know that our position must be consistent across the board. We're not here trying to judge each other. Okay? But we're saying, I hold this position which requires me to do this. And then on the other side, the person will have to respect you. I respect you for being totally consistent with your position. In fact, I can respect someone. I may not believe their position, but if they are totally consistent, right down the line, they believe this, and they act with their beliefs, at least have to respect that in them. And so where may I receive the sacraments? From a place that professes the Catholic faith whole and entire, in union with the same man I believe to be the Pope in this time of confusion. Now, true, I have a duty to inform myself on the questions and determine who truly is the Pope, because it's more difficult in the time of the Western Schism. But that's the subject of another video. But while I am putting things together, my action must be consistent with my beliefs, because that's what God's going to judge me on. How well did I act in comparison with my beliefs? If I denied my beliefs with my actions, I'm in trouble. But at least if I was consistent, even if I was in error, that's forgivable, especially if I made a reasonable effort to find the truth. And so with that, I give you something to think about. May God bless you, and send in your questions on occasion. They prompt me to think. Thank you.